Okay, good. In the last class, everything we did was on string manipulation, right? So in this class, we'll deal with lists. A list is an ordered and modifiable collection that permits duplicate elements. A list can be empty or it may have different data type. In Python, we have so many functions that can be used to collect data, to group data together. There is list, there is tuple, there is set, there is dictionary. All others have their own specific function, but they are all used for data grouping. Some are not modifiable. With some, you cannot modify them. Modify means you can change the data. So with some, you cannot change, you cannot add. With some, they are not ordered, they are unordered, and so on. But with lists, it is ordered and modifiable. So lists, there is no array in Python, unlike other programming languages. Some other programming languages have arrays, but in Python, there is no array. So the list function is the best function that can be used to represent arrays that we have in other programming languages. So for the Cambridge syllabus, wherever you see any question that talks about array, list is expected to be used. Not tuple, not set, not dictionary. So the content of this curriculum will only be limited to lists. So we won't cover tuple, set, and dictionary, but they are very simple. The same thing you can do with lists. Some things you can do with lists, you can also do it with them. So you can just get one or two articles and read on them. They are very easy and very simple. But you won't be using them in the Cambridge syllabus. So you will be using what? Lists. So anywhere you see array, any question you see array mentioned, know that you have to use a list. Because in any question, a list may not be mentioned in any question. The only thing that will be mentioned is array. Is this understood, everyone? Good. Now, how do we declare a list? To declare a list, you always, like I told you, a variable is used to save what? Data in the computer memory. Is that understood? So that means whatever you are doing, you should have it stored in a what? Assigned to a variable. Is that understood? So to declare a list, you have to what? You have to declare a variable is equal to this. So this is a list. If I write variable is equal to 5, I am saying this variable has data type of an integer. 5 is assigned. Is that understood? But if I write variable is equal to these two square brackets, that means I have declared variable as a list. Is that understood? But this is an empty list. Like I said, a list can have different data types. Is that understood? But this is an empty list. So if I go back to my Visual Studio Code, then I can have word is equal to, so this is an empty list. You can also initialize your list. Is that understood? It can be initialized. Initialize means assigning it to what? To the variable at the beginning of the code. Is that clear? Okay, good. So initialize, what is it called? List. So you can call this, let me declare a list of students. So I can have this as Regina, Somaya, Somaya. I can also have Rehab. I can have 100, 55, 60. I can even have set. I can have minus 25. So can you see? I can also have 10.9891. So these are different data types in these strings. Do you see that? Different data types. So this has been initialized. It can be empty, it can have values. So if you print this variable, then print students, then the list is printed. But this list is printed as one thing. Is that understood? As one value. As a list of what? Of elements or a list of items. Is this understood? A list of items. So can you see that the strings have quotes? The non-strings do not have quotes. Can you see that? So with this, it prints the string with what? With a quote to tell you that there is a string in this list, there is an integer, there is a float. So this is a list. Now that I've printed the list, you can also have an empty list. Let me write teachers. So I can as well print teachers. Then this is an empty list. It is printed as an empty list. So you can see that that is an empty list. Is this understood, everyone? Okay, good. So now that you know what a list is, so let's deal with things you can do with a list. And I want you to note something. Most of the functions or most of the functions that works with strings also work with lists. Most of the functions. Most of the things you can do with a string, you can also do it with a list. So the first thing is to return the length of a list. So how many items do we have in this list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, isn't it? So you can return the length of what? Of this. So I can write variable is equal to length of students. Okay, then print variable. So with this, it returns the length of this list. Can you see? 9. We also use length in strings, isn't it? So most of the things you can do with string, you can do them with a list. So apart from length, you can also index lists. You can also access each of the elements of this list with index, just like lists. So the first index is what? So that means Regina is at index 0. So Maya is at index 1. Rahab is at index 2. 100 is at index 3, and so on. Is that understood? So that means that I can write variable is equal to students 0. So students 0, what will it return? It returns Regina. So when this is printed, Regina is printed. So Regina is printed as an item, just one item. So there's no quotes because it's just one item. If it's a list of items, it will print the data type, the different data types with it. But since only one item, it's just printing it as one thing. Is that understood? You can also print students 4, and students 4 should be 55. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, isn't it? So can I print students the length of students? Can I print this, everyone? No. Why? Index is out of range, isn't it? Index is what? Out of range. Because this is, the index starts from 0 and not 1, isn't it? Then it ends at 8. Then how do I print it? What do I need to add to print the last index? -1. So with this, it prints at 10.891. Is this understood? Good.